Starting?
Yes, it started already.
No, are you starting?
I started, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to Unrehearsed with the Moors. Welcome back, guys, to our second
What up?
video.
What is up?
We are excited tonight. Don't mind my husband. We're very excited tonight.
Yo.
We have two of our favorite people, Charity and Steve Marsh, with us this evening, and we're going to get into some things that I think a lot of us deal with. Just life be life, and so we've experienced some of the same things in sharing our stories. I always say the devil always wants us to feel like we're the only ones. And the more and more that we got to share our story with Steve and Charity, we began to see that, our stories were very similar. And so we wanted them to share a little bit about what they've gone through, just to give you all hope. I know we talk about our story a lot, but this is another couple's story that will hopefully give you some healing and some hope.
And here's the thing, right? Like, we have couples that join us that are in the storm, but then we have to show the other side of the storm, couples that are making it out of that and really shining on the other side. Because, even though, there will always be trouble, as Jesus says, we have to look at the harvest as opposed to the sowing season. So we're so glad to have the Marshes here.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's up, y'all?
Thanks.
Hello.
It's great to be.
So I want to start really. We've known you guys for a couple years now. And you guys, I think, for our entire time knowing each other, y'all have been what I would call a rock couple. Like,
for sure.
Your marriage is shining and all of the things. Look at Steve. He's like, I don't know. Tell me a little bit about each of your stories, but then the weaving together and sort of take us through that journey.
You want to begin?
Sure. So, Steve and I have known each other for a number of years. Our kids are all the same age, so 30 to like 28 years old. And Steve coached my boys in hockey, so we've known each other since our boys played hockey 3 and 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that long we've known each other, right? And so, as far as us, we just were great friends that worked on committees together with hockey and soccer and baseball. It seemed like every sport we kept running into each other, that kind of thing. So just really good friends for a lot of years. But it seems funny when we look back now. Every time there'd be a hockey party or something like that, we would end up in a room somewhere laughing at each other, and you just have a great sense of humor, right? And he always had this wittiness about him that to me, I don't think it was that I found it attractive, but I was attracted to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's where our friendship started. It was just working like that. But I don't know how to get to.
So you guys are a blended family, right?
We are.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So y'all both had previous relationships. Did you guys go through a divorce?
Yes.
Okay.
An ugly, long, hard, ugly divorce. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well,
Something you want to say?
Yeah, I guess just looking back on what led us here, divorce is something you never planned to happen.
No.
You enter into a relationship thinking this is forever.
Yeah.
And my first wife and we had, I feel like we tried to do everything right and by the book.
Yeah.
We met in high school. We kind of grew up together. Our families lived in the same neighborhood, went to the same church. So it just felt like
it was the next step.
Right. And so we went, we were in college at the same time, got married, had kids, had a dog, picket fence.
Yeah.
Everything just
what you're
seemed like,
supposed to do.
This is it. We were checking all the boxes. And along the way, I think we got too busy, maybe focused on the kids and kind of lost track of each other.
Oh, yeah. Happens all the time.
Neglected the relationship.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was more about accumulating things. That was how we measured our success, is, the house we live in, the neighborhood we live in, the school our kids go to. And God was not at the center. We went to church.
Yeah.
We belonged to a denominational church, and we went every Sunday and checked the box, and it felt kind of obligatory that we go to church. But I don't know that God was at the center truly of the relationship. It's not, our faith wasn't something that we built the relationship on.
Wow.
And I think just over time drifted apart.
Yeah.
You know, had very different. I think once the kids were in school and were involved doing their activities, we were both very active in their activities, but we kind of lost touch with each other.
Yeah.
You know.
So was it a mutual decision to divorce?
Eventually, I mean, it got to the point where I think we both recognized this isn't working. I started looking for what was missing outside the relationship, and it was never sexual. It was
Yeah.
just looking for attention, looking for what I wasn't getting at home from the relationship. There wasn't like
Any connection.
affirmation. Or,
Yeah.
So I just
What I witnessed, like they ran a business very well. Their kids
Yeah.
were taken care
That's
of.
what it felt
good,
like.
Yeah,
homes
it was a
cared
business.
for,
we were
and
busy.
they paid bills.
We paid
they
bills
did all that
together,
stuff,
and we
right.
Yeah.
There
took care of the
wasn't-
house, raised the kid, but there wasn't the connection.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can go through all the motions and you can do all the right things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
And still-
like things are great, but if you're missing that attention and that friendship and that affection,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can't help but look around and
We
think,
didn't laugh together anymore. We didn't,
Right.
you know,
right?
it's going through the motions.
I love what you said about this idea that it was almost like a sport, like accumulating things. Like you had these
Yeah.
Boy Scout badges of accomplishment, but then there was nothing underneath the surface.
Exactly. Like if we get a pool, we'll be happy. If we get a jet ski, we'll be happy. If we get a camper, we'll be happy. If our kids go to this school, we'll be happy.
Wow.
And it just was never enough. You kept
Yeah.
trying to feed this monster,
Yeah.
and it was just never enough.
Yeah.
It was never any contentment. It was never any like true happiness. And it just, the more that we were together, 13 years, and it just felt like this doesn't feel like this is built to last.
Who got divorced first, I guess, is the question.
We were going through a divorce at the very same
That's
time.
one of the things that brought us
Exact
together. That's what brought us
same
together.
time.
It's
actually.
part of
Wow.
what brought us together.
Wow.
So I had heard, again, we all played hockey together. So hockey up north, guys, it's all year round and it's part of your family. Right?
Yeah.
We still
They're not
play-
original Tennesseans.
Yeah, no,
we're
no.
not going to hold it against them.
But like, I mean, it's a family, right? So I knew everybody on the team knew my husband and I were struggling. How do you struggle like that? And people
Yeah,
not
and
know,
yeah.
right?
Small
so
town.
people knew that Steve and Laura were struggling or whatever. And so one time I heard they had split up, and I made signs and stuff. Well, then I heard they got back together, and I made them a sign that said, "And they lived happily ever after." Like, how ironic is that, right?
It's never
Yeah.
too late.
Like, it's
Wow.
never too late.
You
to
made
live
them
happily
a
ever-
sign.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Because there was just something in my heart. I'll be honest. From
Yeah.
a distance looking, thinking, as he was just telling you his story
Yeah.
life was everything my life was not. With
Yeah.
my ex-husband.
Yeah.
So I remember looking at them, thinking, if they can't make it, nobody.
Oh
can
my
make it.
gosh. Yeah,
that
there's
they
not
had this
right.
wonderful relationship, but on the outside.
But you only saw
You
what
thought-
was that
yeah.
external.
Right.
Okay, makes sense.
So I just remember thinking, oh man, if they can't make it, nobody can make it, right? But
Yeah.
and so we all knew each other so well. So we were going through our divorces at about the same time.
Mhm.
And I was actually at hockey one night I stayed in a relationship that should have been severed years before it was.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the reason I did that, 1,000%, because I stood in a church and I promised God that I would stay married for better or for worse.
Wow.
And I just remember thinking, if I can't keep a promise with him, who can I keep a promise with, right? And so there was just, I counseled with priests, I counseled with pastors, I counseled with anybody that I could get in front of, because there was just so much burden in me about a divorce. And it finally was my pastor that looked at me and said, Sherry, this is not what God has for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is not. And he had counseled with my husband also. So it wasn't a he's bad, she's good, anything like that. It was just that together we were very toxic.
Yeah.
And very mismatched. Just
Yeah.
so
Mismatched in personality.
Well, I'll be honest. He was a musician. I'm a musician. We were, before children, life of the party. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We were
yeah,
very
for
charismatic,
sure.
Yeah.
and everybody loved us, and everywhere we went, people were like, it was infectious, right? Once you add children and real life
Yep.
to that,
Yep.
And one of us getting up, going to work every
Yeah.
day for years, 15 years.
Yeah.
And the other one, music was his life. And it did bring in some money, but it wasn't. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
without
for
all
sure.
that stuff. So there was a lot of instability. And we had different upbringings. We had different ideas of parenting. And again, Steve did it all by the book. I had my 2 children before I was married to my husband. He is the father of my kids. But we were together for 7 years before we ever decided to marry. And so divorce for me was just I just can't do that.
Yeah.
I have to say, and I was raised in a Christian home. You know what I mean? And there was just everything about it was so shameful. So
Yeah.
Guilt.
come on, dig your
Regret,
heels in.
yeah.
That's right. You can do this. You were made for more than this. I did the whole thing, you guys, where I went home and didn't use the D word for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, my goodness.
he would be sleeping, and I would stare at him and go, "We're gonna make this work." I was so devoted to
Oh,
that marriage.
my.
Not that I never did anything wrong, but I really was devoted to staying married, and eventually I felt the release of the Lord saying, "I have more for you."
It sounds like you guys both were in marriages that were extremely visible. Is it fair to say that, like, within your social circle?
Yeah, small town.
Okay.
Everybody knows everybody. We traveled in the same circles, so
Yeah.
you just you kind of know if someone is struggling or going through something. It's very
It's
obvious.
very public.
Yeah.
Change, this time of sort of big change going on in both of your lives, and you guys were supporting one another, but then you're kind of like, okay, here's a question I have.
Look at
'cause this
Charity's
is-
smile, first
yeah,
of all.
Yeah, this is,
She's like, Steve's the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm gonna tell
I mean,
you,
he is.
For those who don't believe in God, I promise you. I promise.
Oh, no, you know I'm a
This man
believer.
right here is from. It blows my mind when
Yeah.
people say, "How do you know?" I look at him and I think, guys, I was seeing a guy before I met Steve or started having anything to do with Steve. The night Steve came to my house, this is so important. I was seeing a guy in Vermont. I lived in New York.
okay.
To me, it was perfect. I'm going to tell you, my ex-husband, a lot of so
Okay.
there were orders of protection. There
Okay.
was nobody in my town was ever going to date me, and I didn't want to date anybody in my town, okay, because it was very scary.
Yeah.
This guy was perfect. I would see him when I didn't have my kids. We'd hang out. He was funny. He was different than anybody I'd ever been around.
Convenient.
But yes, it fit right?
Yeah.
Which is not what God had for me. But I was manipulating it, right?
Yes.
I was making my future
You were
be
in
what I
control.
wanted it to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm now struggling internally with, he never comes to New York. I always go there. Nice guy, doesn't
Yeah.
have kids, all this stuff. So I had literally, before Steve rang my doorbell, I had just gotten off the phone with him saying, I know that I told you I don't want anything serious, and I know that I led into this saying that the convenience of this was perfect for me, but I really feel, guys, I've never said this to anybody in my life before, especially another man, I really feel like God has more in store for me.
Wow.
Wow.
And I feel like he made me to be the other half of something. And what you and I are doing, that just isn't ever going to be anymore than
Yeah,
what it is.
what it
right
is.
now. And so, like, you're super nice. You've been really good to me. I'm sure you'll find somebody, but you're just not for me. I hung up the phone thinking, what did I just do? Like, that wasn't
I got rid
Yeah, it
of
didn't
yeah.
even sound like it
Exactly
was
what I
your
thought.
word.
What you thought you wanted, yeah.
So
Yeah.
from there, guys,
Well, you brought me to church,
I did bring you to church, but
and non-denominational, so very different from what I had grown up with.
Yeah.
People, openly worshiping, hands in the air, and it was whoa.
Steve,
But
would you
she said-
say that was the first time you saw people catch the Holy Ghost?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And she said, if you're uncomfortable, just squeeze my hand and we'll leave. And I said, no, I can stick this out, And it just was a real eye opener about why are these people? They're jumping around, they're dancing, they're singing. What's
What are you happy about?
Again, the church that I was in, you came in quietly, you sat down, you whispered, you kept your voice low. I mean, religion was one. I mean, church.
Yeah.
That's where I was going before is that she introduced me to a side of my spirituality that I really hadn't explored. It was all about you go every Sunday, you sit there, you check the box, you go home.
The appearances of being a Christian.
Exactly. Yeah, but there was no relationship.
Yeah.
It was religion and
Yeah.
not relation.
Yeah.
So the fact about like how to pray, because before that praying was just regurgitating things you had learned, that you
Yeah.
had memorized, and it
Yeah.
wasn't about talking to God,
Yeah.
or asking or thanking, or it was just going through the motions.
Well,
So-
and remember he said there was a lot of hypocrisy that he didn't like. I think that there would be things that would happen with our kids or in our personal life, and you would have an opinion. I go, Steve, that's not okay. It's not okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
Right? And he would look at me and go, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you didn't like that in your last church. Like, you didn't like that people were holding you to a standard that they weren't holding themselves to, right? I'm like, you're doing that right now with our kids, or you're doing it with our
Yes.
exes, or
Yeah.
you're doing it at work. And he's like looking at me thinking, I thought she was a party girl.
She's not what I signed up
It's not
for.
hard right now. I don't want to.
It was obvious very early on that we could say the tough stuff to each other.
Okay.
It wasn't just surfacey. When we got into conversations, it was
Yeah, you're right.
kind of like bare your soul, and we were
You're safe.
We were close enough friends, and there was a safety that we could say the hard things to each other, and it was received from a place that it wasn't criticism or attacking. It was, here's something about your character you need to explore, or you need to and we hadn't been seeing each other very long, and she said, I have a gift for you, and I'm like, oh, cool, and I open it up, and it's a Bible,
Oh, wow.
and I'm
Which
like,
You go,
I've
this
never
is
done
not
that before.
what I thought the gift was.
thanks, I guess.
It was in my kitchen, and he opened it, and I wrote a little thing in there and stuff, and I
Yeah.
went, and I was like, he's a professor, I need this kind of Bible, can
It was
you
a study
help
Bible.
me?
Yeah.
So when I handed it to him, he's like, oh, thank
And
you.
I had never read the Bible before. You heard
Wow.
you heard parts of it in church as part of the sermon or something, but it wasn't something that you openly and read and got into and tried to interpret and understand. It was just something that you kept around the house, and it was up on a
You
shelf.
put it on your coffee table.
Exactly. Yeah. It was my Bible.
Well,
Yeah.
and let's
Yeah.
be honest, I didn't have a guy in my life that had ever bought a Bible for before either.
Okay.
Like, the Lord helped me to be bold in that moment. The Lord helped me, like, Charity, if we're going to build this, we're going to build this right.
Yeah.
I would just remember thinking, like, he's just too different. And if the Lord was gonna, like, if this was going to be something, then it was going to have to be something beyond me.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell you, you mentioned that, like, what you would like to touch on is maybe, what were some of the hard things? What was some of the transition? The transition for me was not being in control.
Oh.
You know
I
what's
tell you-
hilarious is I could have literally, I was going to say those exact same words.
Yep.
Baby, would you like to say anything about giving up control of my
Yep.
family?
I mean, I definitely gave up all of my control when we met because, again, this was the total opposite of anything I had ever looked for, a person that I had an interest in, talked to. Like, I would not have picked him out of 1,000 men.
Same. Yeah.
And, I always say God knows what we need.
You know what's funny?
That's right.
Ashley, I've said to more people, I've said, God knew my type.
Yeah.
I thought I knew my type. God
I
knew
say that
me
all the time,
better
Charity.
than I knew myself.
He does know us.
Yeah.
And still, it's been 18 years.
Yeah.
I still find myself, Steve will say something or do something or be there for something, and I think, there's still layers of Steve that God's introducing to me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's still like security.
I love that.
And permanence and like all the things of what I was looking for.
I didn't know what I needed.
It chokes me up right now to talk to you
Yeah.
about because he knew layers inside of me that I couldn't even verbalize.
Yeah.
And he has placed him in my life, and he keeps developing him more and more, and he keeps
Yeah.
developing my heart more and more, that we reconnect all the time.
Yeah.
It's like when I looked at people back when I wasn't happily married, and I thought, if I could just have that, or if I could just, maybe a blend of both.
Yes.
Guys,
You
when
have
you
that
said,
overflowing,
when we started
yeah.
tonight, and you said something about being a rock couple,
Yeah.
again, I got choked up because I never saw charity as a part of a rock couple.
Oh.
And honestly, when I left my ex-husband, I thought, I don't care if I ever get married again. I'm just going to take care of me and my kids.
Did I not say, how many times have I said those exact words?
Yeah.
I've said that so many times in telling my story.
And
I'm like,
the Lord
I was
knew.
fine with that.
Yeah, same. I had no idea that there was this desire in my
Yeah.
heart to be the other half of something, to the point, you guys, that I've looked at Steve and said, if something happened to me tomorrow, I want you to find somebody else. Not because it would ruin things or how beautiful things were for us. I know that Steve was meant to be the other half of something.
Yeah.
I know that I was meant to be. I didn't know.
I'm not going to say that,
myself
Charity,
18
but I'm
years
glad
ago.
you were able to, say that to Steve.
Well,
He
I'm
better
just-
not.
I'm just gonna tell you. I'm just gonna tell you. Like, I just look and I find such security in what he has brought to my life that it's almost like we were talking about work before this all started
Mhm.
tonight. Having something and having to share it.
Mhm.
That's how I feel. I would never want him to go the rest of his life being who he is
Yeah.
and not be able to share that
Yeah.
with people, because it's been the greatest gift I've ever been given, and it still
Aw.
keeps giving. Like I just.
Yeah.
Steve, did you feel? I hear this a lot. Okay, this is full disclosure. When we were in college, we had a joke. It was a running joke. We called it the "I'm every woman" syndrome, where you could see the
Oh,
ladies
my
who didn't
goodness.
need. They were strong women, and they didn't need no man. And then we see that as adults, and we're like, "Hey, I think you might need a man." Like, were you kind of the "I'm every man"? And was that where you at? Like, no, I think I'm okay. I'm just gonna do me. Or how was your experience?
I think when my first marriage ended, I was at a point where I think, well, I've tried that. It's not for me. I tried and failed. And I think very much like your attitude, it was I'm going to just be there for my kids, and I really I don't need a relationship, or it wasn't maybe companionship, but I wasn't
Didn't
looking
you
for
say
something.
to me one time that you didn't think it was meant for you?
Yes,
Mm.
I would.
I tried everything.
I would
right?
see
It's not
I
meant.
would see
Wow.
happy couples and just say I'm not meant for that. That's not.
I was in a relationship before him, and I was dating a guy, and he broke up with me, and he told me, he said, some people are just not meant to be wives.
Ooh.
He told you that?
And I was
First of all,
like,
this is the first time I've ever heard this.
well,
And-
it jogged my
Hold
memory.
on,
when
Holy,
he
if you're
said-
listening right now, holla at your boy. Please continue, brother.
But yeah, I was just like, how, so I kind of took that to heart. I was like, well, maybe I am not meant to be.
Talk about somebody speaking something in your
Yeah.
life. eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Careful who you
I mean,
listen to.
obviously.
Right.
Careful
That-
who you listen to.
Obviously, fast forward just a smidge after that happened, and this wonderful man walks into my life.
Baby. So Steve, you had this. It's not for me. What turned that around?
I think it was the more we got to know each other, and I found levels and a depth to her that I didn't know was there. Because I knew the Charity that everybody knew and saw at parties and out in public, and happy and friendly and funny, and I knew that side of you. But as we got to kind of explore our spirituality, we had some very open discussions about God and church and where do you want your life to go from here. I saw we were pretty much aligned on some things, and I didn't know that was there, at least not to that depth. And I think one of the important things, God has really been at the center of everything we've ever done. We pray together. If there's something that comes along in life that's a challenge or a decision, instead of my first instinct is to worry.
Yeah.
Worry about it instead of praying about it. And I think that's something we learned together too. You helped me through some anxiety. I had periods after the divorce, periods of
Panic attack.
panic, anxiety,
Wow.
doubt, fear,
Yeah.
guilt.
And just for the
shame.
record, that was all new to me. In the end, God provided, but I can't say it enough. We had to be vulnerable. We had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He always made me feel safe. And at first, Steve came into the relationship with a lot of anytime you said something, the word criticism was always at the forefront, right?
That
And
failure.
I would
Yeah.
look at him and be like, that is not at all what I just meant. Did
Right.
my words
Yeah.
say that? And he would go, well, no, but that's what you meant. And I'm like,
Yeah.
If that's what
Yeah.
you meant, I'll tell you.
I'll say
Kind of
it.
thing,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you can trust me, Steve. what I'm picking up here comes right out here, right?
Yeah.
That's just who
Yeah.
I am. So it
Yeah.
took a long, that was one of those.
Steve, you said something very important, and I think as a divorced man, I don't think it's said enough about divorced men and how we define failure in our divorces. How do we see ourselves, especially principled men, right? I think we
Yeah.
learned from our fathers. If you fail, it's on you, and you are the arbiter of your outcome, and So, what I want you to do is just give us lessons learned from a
Sure.
divorced man who's climbed back up and seen a better next chapter. Like, what would you say to the guys that are going through some of it?
Well, first of all, showing emotion is not weakness. Asking for help is not weakness.
Yeah.
I defined myself by my financial status before the divorce. It was the house I lived in, the job I had, where I went to school, my income level, where my kids, the clothes they wore, the teams they were on. And divorce took all of that. And so part of my testimony was being kind of broken down and built back up. So divorce just naturally put limits on my finances. And
Yeah.
I had to kind of reassess what's important. And so I found myself, we got together, we were, building a life together, and we had nothing. We were literally starting from scratch.
Both of us left our homes. We didn't
Yeah.
take
Wow.
anything.
And so we,
That's
Right.
literally built things from the ground up. So my testimony was, in place of the materialistic things that I had valued before, was I valued her.
Yeah.
And I valued God and my relationship with the Lord, and we got connected with our church family. And I think we were in church one Sunday, and I was just really feeling just carrying a lot of load, just finances and the divorce and blending the family
Guilt.
and all,
So
guilt,
much guilt.
guilt, yeah. And someone from the church just came and laid his hand on me and prophesied a little bit about being a good father. I mean, he knew nothing about my situation. He just
It was during worship, you guys. Steve
Wow.
was just kind of bent over in the chair just like this, and that man came and put his hand on him. He said, I want you to know you're a good father. The
Oh.
Lord wants you to know.
Wow.
I love that.
He goes, you're a good man, and the Lord knows it.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, tears. And
Yeah.
he didn't have that relationship with the Lord. He goes, how does he know that?
Mm.
Because he's God.
Yeah.
And God knows who you are,
And
Steve.
I was just
right?
I was trying to carry everything. I mean, just pay the bills, take care of
Make
that.
everybody happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it got to a point I just couldn't do it. It just was
Yeah.
not possible. And I was actually playing golf with one of my close friends from the church, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he just said something so profound, but it changed my life. He said, give it to God. Give it to the Lord.
Yeah.
It's just something I hadn't considered before.
Yeah.
That when you're in trouble, praying isn't something you do. It's something you do at church. It's not something you do every day or when you need help. And he just said, give it to the Lord. And that really just changed my whole perspective and made me see things in a very different way in the way that I viewed her. And it's really been a really guiding principle.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think it's my whole purpose of coming here today and talking with you guys, like a lot of what I was hoping we would touch on is the shame that's associated with
Yeah.
divorce.
Yeah.
It's so ironic because I said to him on the way here, I don't think any church that we've ever been involved in has shamed us. Nobody's ever looked at us differently because we're a divorced couple. If anything, they've always welcomed us into leadership roles and helped us to grow in the church and stuff. I really believe the shame that we feel, we put on ourselves.
We definitely put on
I do
ourselves.
not
Oh, God.
believe
We
that is
definitely
from
put on
the Lord
ourselves.
at all.
No.
And I can tell you, anybody that's listening or willing to listen, the Lord does not bless this if this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not
Amen.
living with Him at the center of what you're doing, Steve introduced me to a life that was much more secure, much nicer than what I had before him. But I can tell you, we've had times where we didn't know how we were going to make ends meet. We didn't know how we were going to keep providing all four of our kids the lives that they were used to.
Mm.
And we would just pray over it, and God has always provided. Always.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever went without.
Yeah.
And we've always had more than enough. And
Abundance.
yeah, God has just blessed this marriage and this relationship and our children, and the ripple effect of
Yeah.
what we are has went to our nieces and
It
our
reverberates
nephews. And
generations.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Love
the
that.
relationships that we have gained within our family and our friend network, just God is just he everything is in abundance.
Yeah.
And for me coming here today, it was very important to say that shame is not from God.
No. But
And
It's a lie.
It's really not. It's definitely something that we, like you said, we put it on ourselves. And I think the reason that we feel so much shame, it's almost like a little kid when they get in trouble.
yes.
You feel ashamed. You don't want to tell anybody what you just did because you know you were wrong. And most of the time you did it, especially from my point of view, I know I did it by myself. I know I chose
right.
for
That's
myself.
That's right.
I didn't let God choose. And so that was one of my things this time around. I said, God,
Yeah.
if I'm going to do this again, if I'm going to, whatever you have for me, I'm going to let you choose. I'm going to let you be my matchmaker.
Wow.
I tell this over and over again. I always gave God complete control in every aspect of my life, except
Oh boy. I'm every woman?
my love life.
Yeah.
I always had the best jobs. I always had the best people. I always had the best of every other area except for my love life. And I remember thinking when I met him, I'm like, man, I almost wanted to whoop myself.
Yes.
Because then when I finally seen what God had for me and how he provides and protects and just the little things, he takes care of me.
It's amazing. Doesn't it make your belly
It
flutter,
does.
like,
It
right?
does.
Because
It
there's
does.
just something in there that says, we were talking to you about it before we started recording tonight. I wish I could tell you that I kneeled next to my bed and asked God to bring me a mate, and Steve is who he brought me. I wish I would have went at this whole next chapter of my life that way. I didn't, and I wish I would have. As I was starting to date Steve, I could feel something tugging on me, and Steve taught 2 nights a week plus worked full time. I spent 2 nights a week, guys, constantly listening to Christian worship music, and I would just cry for hours and hours. I was the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, that's real.
But the Lord was just cleansing me.
Yeah.
All this hurt. And I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was calling people, my church,
Yeah.
going, something's wrong with me. I'm not depressed. I'm not sad. Why am I crying so much? There was such a season of healing
Yeah.
that I didn't even know. I think I'm so smart. There was so much about me I didn't know. And when I finally gave God, here, you drive. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
horrible at
When you
picking
give him the
my
keys.
Yes.
I said my picker is broken.
I picked it up times.
It doesn't work.
It won't work. But I can't tell you, and I saw Steve go through some of that too. I saw him, this guy, this clean cut, he's got it all together. The closer we got, the more I realized he had the job together, he had school together.
Yep.
He was a good dad. He
Right,
did
that's it,
all.
right.
But man, when it came to relationships,
Yeah.
and especially a relationship with the Lord,
We think we know better.
Mm.
We think we know better than
Yes.
God does.
So we would go to church every Sunday, you guys, and we would pull in the driveway, and we would sit in the car for like an hour and a half after church. Our kids would think they're in that car fighting, because that's what all 4 kids came from homes that parents were fighting, right? And we'd go in the house and they'd be like, everything okay? And we're like, yeah, everything's fine. We were talking about church. We had the deepest conversations every Sunday after we would leave church.
Wow.
And then we'd go to sleep at night praying for our exes. And I remember you looking at me going, why do we pray for them? I'm like, they're in our life.
Yeah.
They're in our life, and there's
Yeah.
purpose.
Beautiful.
And they're the parents to our kids. And they're going to be around for a long time. And the irony was, do you remember me one time saying to you, we were frustrated, guys. They were not good relationships with our exes. They was very intrusive, police, like all that stuff, okay? So we'd lay in bed and I'd be like, oh. And he'd be like, do we really need to pray tonight about that? And I'd be like, you know what, Steve? They keep coming at us this way because God's got something for us to
Yes.
do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, we
that's
just
a
need to keep
word.
praying.
What's the
We're
Yeah.
not
That
just
is a
praying. And
word.
this was big for Steve. I'm like, we're not just praying for them. We're praying that our hearts would open up and that we would
Yeah.
learn what God needs us to learn to be the other half of that relationship. Because Steve and Charity aren't perfect. You know what I mean? When you're in a he said, she said, you always think, well, I'm right. We have so much growing to do.
Yeah.
And without that,
Yeah. One of the things I struggled with, I mean, early on we said that Steve and Charity never fight, but blending family was so hard.
yeah,
And the transition for me was when we stopped calling it your kids and my kids,
yeah,
and we started calling it our kid, our
Yeah.
family.
yep.
Yeah.
You know? And it changed my definition of what family means.
Yeah.
It doesn't just mean people that are blood relatives. It means people in your life that you care about and care about you, and you take care of one another. You know?
Well, and there again, you let go of that
Yeah.
the reins, right?
Yeah.
As soon as his kids became my kids and my kids became his kids, even if in your heart that wasn't truly
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
you wanted to
Yeah.
be right in that moment, when you started to say that
Yeah.
and give faith
Power in
these
the words.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The Lord started to like soften these edges where you
That's
were like,
right.
I don't like that about, you know?
Yeah.
But the Lord all of a sudden took that, I don't like that, to the, I wonder why that happens.
Exactly.
I wonder how I could help with that.
Exactly.
Right?
And
Yeah.
that leads to
Exactly.
forgiveness.
If there was one thing that you could probably leave people with, knowing that, we are all sitting here, all divorced and remarried and kind of let God take the reins and the control.
Yes, yes.
If there was one piece that you could leave people with, what would that be?
I guess if I had to say, it's don't lose hope. Like you had decided what's not for me. I had decided I'm just going to take care of my kids and be done with it. Maybe someday later I'll find somebody. Don't give up hope, because if you will let the Lord know your desires, again, I didn't even verbalize them. He knew deep in my heart the things I needed and wanted to be. If you let the Lord lead,
Yeah.
you'll have hope.
Keep him at the center and
Surrender.
pray for
Yeah.
direction.
Surrender.
Yes,
That's beautiful.
surrender.
That's
Great. Yes.
That's a great word.
Brandon.
But we love you guys, and you are definitely our family.
Yes,
Aw.
correct.
You know, so I was
Correct.
at church last Sunday worshiping, a little heavy with some family stuff, and I opened my eyes during worship, and I just looked around, and it brought tears to my eyes to see families in our church that God has positioned around Steve and I.
Yeah.
So again, it doesn't just end at finding a mate,
Yeah.
having that mate be the perfect person. Now God starts placing couples like you guys
Yes.
around us to
Yes.
laugh with, to love on. And we even had at our last church some guys that Steve would go to like men's retreats with and stuff, and they would look at each other and say, if it gets hard, call me. Like if you get feeling like nobody laughs at my jokes right now, because that was the stuff that led him astray, right?
Yeah.
If you get feeling that way, call me. Because we're going to help you reconnect. We're
Yeah.
going to help point you back in the right direction. And I just believe the Lord has put wonderful people in our life, wonderful church, wonderful friends.
Yes.
And the blessings just don't stop. Again,
They don't.
it's abundant.
Abundance.
Yes.
That's
You
right.
just keep growing.
Amen. Amen.
Listen, thank y'all once again for riding with us. Appreciate you guys. Catch us next time, man. There's so many great stories, so many great journeys that we want to keep sharing with you. But until the next one, we'll see y'all. Peace.